Now the Philistines fought against Israel. The Israelites fled before them, and many fell slain on Mount Gilboa. The Philistines pressed hard after Saul and his sons, and they killed his sons Jonathan, Abinadab, and Malchishua. The fighting grew fierce around Saul, and when the archers overtook him, they wounded him. Saul said to his armor-bearer, "Draw your sword and run me through, or these uncircumcised fellows will come and abuse me." But his armor-bearer was terrified and would not do it, so Saul took his own sword and fell on it. When the armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he too fell on his sword and died. So Saul and his 3 sons died, and all his house died together. When all the Israelites in the village saw that the army had fled and that Saul and his sons had died, they abandoned their towns and fled. And the Philistines came and occupied them. The next day, when the Philistines came to strip the dead, they found Saul and his sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. They stripped him and took his head and his armor, and sent messengers throughout the land of the Philistines to proclaim the news among their idols and their people. They put his armor in the temple of their gods and hung up his head in the temple of Dagon. When all the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard of everything the Philistines had done to Saul, all their valiant men went and took the bodies of Saul and his sons and brought them to Jabesh. Then they were they buried their bones under the great tree in Jabesh, and they fasted 7 days. Saul died because he was unfaithful to the Lord. He did not keep the word of the Lord, and even consulted a medium for guidance, and did not inquire of the Lord. So the Lord put him to death and turned the kingdom over to David, son of Jesse. All Israel came together to David at Hebron and said, "We are your own flesh and blood. In the past, even while Saul was king, you were the one who led Israel on their military campaigns. And the Lord your God said to you, you will shepherd my people Israel, and you will become their ruler." When all the elders of Israel had come to King David at Hebron, he made a compact with them at Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel as the Lord had promised through Samuel. David and all the Israelites marched to Jerusalem, that is Jebus. The Jebusites who lived there said to David, "You will not get in here." Nevertheless, David captured the fortress of Zion, the city of David. David had said, "Whoever leads the attack on the Jebusites will become commander-in-chief." Joab, son of Zeruiah, went up first, and so he received the command. David then took up residence in the fortress, and so it was called the City of David. He built up the city around it, from the supporting terraces to the surrounding wall, while Joab restored the rest of the city. And David became more and more powerful because the Lord Almighty was with him. These were the chiefs of David's mighty men. And they, together with all Israel, gave his kingship strong support to extend it over the whole land, as the Lord had promised. This is the list of David's mighty men. Jashobeam, a Hachmonite, was a chief of the officers. He raised his spear against 300 men, whom he killed in one encounter. Next to him was Eleazar, son of Dodai, the Ahohite, one of the three mighty men. He was with David at Damim, when the Philistines gathered there for battle. At the place where there was a field full of barley, the troops fled from the Philistines. But they took their stand in the middle of the field. They defended it and struck the Philistines down. And the Lord brought about a great victory. Three of the 30 uh, chiefs came down to David to the rock at the cave of Adullam, while a band of Philistines was encamped in the valley of Rephaim. At that time, David was in the stronghold, and the Philistine garrison was at Bethlehem. David longed for water and said, "Oh, that someone would get me a drink of water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem." So the three broke through the Philistine lines, drew water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem, and carried it back to David. But he refused to drink it. Instead, he poured it, poured it out before the Lord. "God forbid that I should do this," he said. "Should I drink the blood of these men who went at the risk of their lives? Because they risked their lives to bring it back, David would not drink it." Such were the exploits of the three mighty men. Abishai, the brother of Joab was chief of the three. He raised his spear against 300 men, whom he killed, and he became as famous as the three. He was doubly honored above the three and became their commander, even though he was not included among them. Benaiah, Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was a valiant fighter from Kabzeel, who performed great exploits. He struck down two of Moab's best men. He also went down into a pit on a snowy day and killed a lion. And he struck down an Egyptian who was 7.5 feet tall. Although the Egyptian had a spear like a weaver's rod in his hand, Benaiah went against him with a club. He snatched the spear from the Egyptian's hand and killed him with his own spear. Such were the exploits of Benaiah, son of Jehoiada. He too was as famous as three mighty men. He was held in greater honor than any of the 30, but he was not included among the three, and David put him in charge of his bodyguard. The mighty men were Asahel, the brother of Joab; Elhanan, son of Dodo from Bethlehem; Shamoth the Harorite; Heled the Pelonite; Ira, son of Ikesh, from Tekoa; Abiathar from Anathoth; Sibekai the Hushathite; Eli the Ahohite; Maharai the Netophathite; Heled son of Baana the Netophathite; Ithai son of Ribai from Gibeah in Benjamin; Benaiah the Pirathonite, Hurai from the ravens of Gash, Abiel the Arbathite, Atzmaveth, the Bahuramite, Eliabah, the Shalbonite, the sons of Hashem the Gizonite, Jonathan son of Shagi the Hararite, Ahiam son of Sakar the Hararite, Eliphaz son of Ul, Hefer the Mekorathite, Ahijah the Pelonite, Hatzro the Carmelite, Naarai son of Etbai, Joel the brother of Nathan, Mipar son of Hagri, Zalek the Ammonite, Naharai the Beerothite, the armor bearer of Joab son of Zeriah, Ira the Ithrite, Gareb the Ithrite, Uriah the Hittite, Zabed son of Aholai, Adina son of Shiza the Reubenite, who was chief of the Reubenites, and the 30 with him, Hanan son of Maacah, Joshaphat the Mithnite, Uzziah the Ashtorethite, Shammah and Zaiel, the sons of Hotham the Arorite, Jediah son of Shimri, his brother Joha the Tizite, Eliel the Mahavite, Zeribai the Josephiah, the sons of Elnan, Ithma the Moabite, Elier, Obed and Jaaseel the Mezubite.